Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at Disney Plus, and welcome to this week's live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone joining in. So you can even watch this one live on YouTube, or you can also catch the replay. So each and every week I answer questions from my YouTube channel members and also Patreons, and also you can send in your super chat functions, all of which help support the channel, help support the website. And I really do want to say a big thank you to everyone who is a member. It really does make a massive amount of difference. So we've got lots and lots of questions today. So as in each and every week, I will be jumping in and out between the pre-done questions that they've been able to submit and also the live chat, which is on right now. And if you become a YouTube channel member, you can join in on the live chat as well, or you can use the super chat function, as again, all of which really does help. So lots and lots of different questions today. We've got a few people already in the live chat. See, we've got Miles, Bubba Troller, the Kalids. Hello to all of you. Matt, so hello. Okay, so let's jump into it. So let's kick off with question number one. So Caleb asks, now that Muppet Vision has officially closed at Walt Disney World, would you like to see a Disney Plus special about the attraction to keep the memories alive? Definitely. I definitely would love Muppet Vision 3D. I am a huge fan of. Always went on that attraction and saw the show every time we went to Hollywood Studios. I am a big Muppet fan, and it's a shame. It's a shame that it's being removed. I'm in the mindset that this might be something that might be more suited to maybe if they could move it over to Epcot. I always kind of feel like when Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and Captain Elio was moved out, and they put that like Pixar short thing in there, it would make more sense to just kind of utilize the Muppet Vision. And also, and this is just a key thing, right? How much good publicity would Disney get if they were like, due to popular demand, we are bringing back Muppet Vision and we're moving it to Epcot? How much that's going to be loved? There's going to be a little bit of hard truth in there for the rest of it. But yeah, there's a kind of thing of, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I do think, if they've got a theater, it would make sense for them to do something with it. Maybe that's something they can do at a later date. It would have been maybe nicer to do it in the begin with, but I'm just saying, I think if they think that there's enough attention there for it. As far as a Disney Plus version, I do hope that they could do something with it. I'm not sure how the 3D would work. I mean, it might work on like the Meta, or even if you just make a 2D version of it, so we can all watch it, but it might be a bit weird. For me, I always have that feeling from like Muppet Vision 3D is the best kind of 3D because it has fun with it. You get wet, you got Muppets running around, you got the old guys up in the top there. I think it's a fantastic attraction. It is a shame that it's closing. I do think it makes sense for them with what they're doing moving forward, but the Muppets are a bit of a weird one. The fact that they are going to be taking over the Aerosmith attraction, which the roller coaster there, which makes sense in that respect. That's been rumored for a long time of using the rock and roll kind of connection. So it's nice to see the Muppets are going to continue. Makes much more sense than Aerosmith because that's a brand that really just doesn't really connect with modern audiences. And since they can't do the Marvel version that they did in Paris, that's probably a good way of moving forward. But I do hope that Muppet Vision 3D they do something with it. It would be nice if they did do something on that there. I definitely think that would be a good thing to move forward. Just jumping into some questions regarding or connected to the one that we've just talked about. Caleb answered saying, I wouldn't mind seeing Muppet Vision on Disney Plus. Obviously, it would be a true 3D since Disney Plus doesn't do that, at least at the time capsule. Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have that there. Okay, moving on from there, Miles asks, could Disney consider a 4K restoration of several of the older films across its subsidiaries, including Veronica, Gherkin, A Goofy Movie, Oscar and Lucy, and Office Space? Hopefully. I mean, it'd be nice to them if they could do it. But again, the question is, if the 4K version, is it going to bring in any money for them? Can they sell any digital copies? Can they sell any physical copies? I mean, it'd be nice for them to restore it to the best they can, especially because since film is much easier to keep restoring, and it'll be probably better in the long run that they do that. But yeah, I mean, I think there should be a constant program in place of just trying to make their movies, and obviously they do the more important ones and the ones that are most popular first, and then roll through. I'm surprised they didn't do it with Goofy Movie. Keenan says, since Frozen Broadway musical is releasing on Disney Plus on June the 20th, what other Broadway musicals do you think they should be released on Disney Plus? I'm very much in the mindset that I think not putting up ones that are currently on the stage in either Broadway or in the West End would make sense for them not to do it. So things like The Lion King, it would, and Hercules, those wouldn't make a lot of sense to me right now of putting them on Disney Plus, because that could hurt sales of the tickets. But they did film a version of Aladdin, and that's been like rumored for a long time to be coming to Disney Plus. Hopefully that does arrive. So if they've got anything like that, that's what I would like to see them do. If they've got anything already pre-filmed that they could use. But I'm very much in that mindset of something like The Lion King. It's such an incredible performance. And while I would love for people to be able to see it, I do kind of think that you don't necessarily want to be giving away the ones that are still in theaters. I think maybe going on tours a little bit different, but if you like, that would make a lot more sense. I'm trying to think what other ones, you know, they've as I said, they've got to protect their theater business, while at the same time it would make sense for them to film them, you know, just before they wrap up. That would make sense, or maybe do an international film of it. You know, if they're doing like Beauty and the Beast or something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of in that mindset of I see why they don't do it, but at the same time, I think they should do it a little bit more often. Kelly said musicals on Disney Plus should be limited unless it's the last show ever and they want to keep the memories alive. I'm in that thing of like, if it's left the theater, that's one thing. I mean, it's the same thing like with, you know, ones that are on cruise ships and like ones that are on tour and so on. It'll be nice for them to do it. Same thing for shows that are on at theme parks. You know, if they've got a show that is coming to an end, maybe see if you can do a film it and kind of keep it forever there so people can remember it. It'll be nice for them to kind of do that. Matt says, do you think we'll get more Muppet shows or movies? I think we are always probably going to see something from the Muppets. I think Disney is really struggling to find out who the Muppets are for. They keep trying to bring it to a new generation and it's not really working. But there is obviously a lot of nostalgia there. I don't know. I think specials might be the way forward of doing something like a Disney Plus movies, but keeping it cheap. That might work. I don't know if a theatrical film that's going to get enough money to come in, but I also don't think there's enough there for series to keep that franchise going. Maybe doing a new Muppet Babies for a new generation might be another way forward. I don't know. I just don't know if the Muppets work so much in the 21st century the same way. And I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Muppets. I remember when I was last time I was at the Magic Kingdom and I saw the stage show in Liberty Square, and you know, got to see Kermit and Miss. And I was, my wife did say at the time that I was like a little kid because I'd never seen, you know, seeing the Muppets in person was just like, you know, I'm I was in my like 30s and like, it's groovy. So, yeah, I definitely think, you know, getting more of them on there is good, but I'm not sure if, I definitely don't know if a theatrical film is enough anymore. Miles says, do you think that in a few years, David Greenbaum, the president of Disney Live Action of 20th Centuries, might publish a memoir detailing his life and career? I hope so. It'd be nice to do. It'd be interesting to see how that works, you know, if people are interested in that. That's always a good thing for that one. Caleb also says, what are your thoughts on Disney securing a streaming deal for syndicated versions of Jeopardy and Wheel and Fortune? I mean, it's nice, cheap content for them. It's obviously got I think, again, we're just trying to get people coming over from linear over to it. So that does make sense to me that why they've done it. I'm guessing they got it very cheap because they're sharing it with Peacock. It's still going to be syndicated on television. I'm guessing it is. Yeah, I think that there's probably likely going to be. Yeah, I think it's just a cheap deal, and the Sony are just probably doing it to spite Paramount a little bit. Keenan says, is Disney going to release a Star Wars standalone movie every year since The Mandalorian and Grogu and Starfighter are releasing back-to-back years in 2026 and 2027? Probably. That's probably their plan. Maybe having a year break here and there. This is what they're going back. They're going back to theatrical films. I think Ahsoka season 2 is probably going to be the last of the live action series. To be honest with you, I don't think they're going to go back to that. I think we are in We're going to get animated shows and movies from now on. I don't think we're going to. I think Ahsoka season 2 will be the last one. They might do Ahsoka season 3 if they feel like they need to wrap it up. But yeah, I'm suspecting they're just going to go back to shorter movies or just movies, and maybe every other year or every year. I think they've realized that they overcooked that one, and TV is not where Star Wars needs to be. Too expensive. Papa says, do you consider Hulu originals as Disney Plus originals? So, in the true sense of the word, a Disney Plus original, I wouldn't consider, like, I don't know, one of the Hulu original American versions. I don't necessarily think of it as a Disney Plus original, so because Hulu's kind of had its hands all over it and it's theirs, and then Disney Plus internationally is just kind of getting it as an afterthought. However, there is a lot of Hulu originals which are actually Disney Plus originals for the rest of the world first. So if you've got something like Stolen Girl, or you've got Rivals, or you've got the Korean shows or the Australian shows, those are Disney Plus originals, and in America they get rebranded to Hulu. That's the way I do. Some of them are a bit iffy. So yeah, like if they've been made here in the UK, they have 4 Disney Plus, but obviously Hulu gets them in the US. I do think we are going to get to a point where within a year, that's going to be Hulu original is just going to be their way of differentiating from general audience kind of thing. I think that's going to become more normal. But for me, with the fact of Star Originals that is just an awful name. Yeah, to me, Disney Plus Originals are shows which you can watch on Disney Plus that are exclusive. I think the term original is slightly been overplayed a little bit, because originally it kind of meant exclusive, and that's kind of gone away. Not just with Disney, other HBO Max and Paramount and stuff, they've all tried these originals, but they don't stay originals for them. I don't know. It's almost like it's more like an exclusive kind of thing. But again, as I said, kind of going back to the question, for me, it's a very mixed line. If you were to say like Futurama or King of the Hill, I think of that as a Hulu original. It just happens to be on Disney Plus in the US. And as I said, Rivals, Extraordinary, those are Disney Plus originals that Hulu rebrands. And I think that's going to become more and more different. We're going to start seeing originals, and Disney kind of are sharing these out on linear stations anyway. I think the term original is just becoming less and less interesting. Right, let's see what we've got in the live chat. Let's do some questions from here. Let's see what we've got. Miles, thank you very much for your super chat. Thank you so much. You're going to might check out Predator: Clear of Killers during the summer holidays on Disney Plus, since it's getting rave reviews. Definitely. I enjoyed it. It's obviously a little bit more brutal. It's not as good as a traditional live action one, but it does mean that they can go in a different direction. They were able to do stories that I don't think they could do in live action because it would just cost too much. But I definitely recommend watching it. And you've got your exam tomorrow for your maths. So good luck, and I hope you have a really good day tomorrow. Hope it goes well. Miles says, continuing my pre-down question about Disney potentially launching a 20th Century Animation unit as a production unit, who could fill the post of president and chief creative officer? Not gonna lie, don't really know who I would say that. I don't tend to keep track of like executives and so on. I recognize obviously the main ones from like Disney, etc., but I don't really go too much into who could be a potential one, so I'm not sure on that one. And you also ask, if Disney were to establish a 20th Century Animation as a production unit, where would be the ideal location for the headquarters? Burbank or another city? London? That'd be nice. I think these kind of movies, it would maybe make sense for the headquarters to be wherever they are, but use studios around the world. If they've got a great studio in Canada, use it. If you've got a great studio in Australia, use it. We don't have. I think the idea of having them all made in one city, I don't think they're at that same level that Disney and Pixar are at. Okay, let's see what we've got. Barbara says, what are your thoughts on Money in the Bank? I didn't watch it yet because I'm busy with 300 different things happening right now. So I watched the World Collide live stream last night because that was on in the evening for me. I love these ones when they do like, I think like NXT takeovers, the shows that they do in the Middle East or in Europe. It's great because I can actually watch them live and I don't have to avoid spoilers the following morning. So I did enjoy watching that last night. I have watched the highlights on the YouTube channel of Money in the Bank. I'm gonna watch I'm gonna watch it tonight after I've done this stream. I didn't get a chance to watch it today because it's stuff with the family, but looks good. It was the women carried the event. I did like the reverse course, and they brought back R-Truth. Yeah, they definitely did a whole thing there where they heard the audience and they responded. Musicals should be Disney. Oh yeah, we did that one. Billy C said Lilo and Stitch already crossed 600 million. Do you think it will reach 1 billion? I actually think I just read it's coming up to 800 million. I think it's probably on par. I think it will hit 1 billion. It's going to be 800 by next week, and it's still got June and July still in cinemas, so still got a while to go. Billy also says, what could they learn from the success for future live action remakes? Make movies that people want to watch. Use characters that connect with today's audiences. Maybe keep doing something different. Lilo and Stitch also is a remake that they haven't really done a lot with Lilo and Stitch for a long time. You know, it's a very popular franchise in terms of merchandise, but they've not overcooked that franchise. They haven't released a movie or a short or a series or anything really in decades, so therefore it's come back and it feels a little fresh. And also Stitch is one of the most loved characters because it's little mischief, and I think that movie also feels different. It's not a princess film, and I think that is a difference. You've also got parents that want to take their kids to it because they grew up on Lilo and Stitch. It's that nostalgia thing. I mean, I'm not expecting that's something that might be missing from like Moana, where you don't really have the parents taking them in the same way. Kayla says exclusivity is becoming less of a thing nowadays. Another dub of Dragon Ball, which was exclusively on Crunchyroll, made its linear debut on Adult Swim after the dub was long finished. I think a lot of it comes down to money. Licensing brings in money, and this whole idea of making everything exclusive was great when the idea was that was all they were going to do. I do think we're probably going to return to that in some ways as some of these linear companies and platforms start dying down. I wouldn't like to say in 5 years' time, if Disney is going to continue doing what they're doing right now, things could change. Okay, so I know ESPN announced they're moving 3 shows that previously emanated from the Seaport Studios in New York City to Bob Iger Building. Does this help with synergy? Probably just helps with rent, I would imagine, just so they don't have to keep renting 2 places. But he says, wouldn't be surprising. It would depend on how many issues surrounding changes. No, did I miss a question there? I think I missed a question there from Billy. It's going to wait there. I think the whole thing with like Lilo and Stitch of the change of the ending, I think that's very much a small internet thing. I don't think it's a massive situation. And in fairness, I think Disney was damned if they did, damned if they didn't. If they kept the original ending, people would have complained. So they basically made it as safe as they possibly could. So they didn't get into any political issues. So people going, you didn't put it in there. It was like, well, no, they made it more safer or more friendlier. I don't know. Babatron says, what do you think? Who do you think is going to be the next CEO of Disney? I think it's going to be Josh DeMario and Dana Walden as co-CEOs, or it's going to be Tom Staggs and Kevin Mayer. I think they're going to do a dual CEO. If they do the Mayer and Staggs, they might have to buy out Candle Media to get hold of it. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's dual CEOs with Iger then moving into the like chairman and staying on the board for help guide them for a little bit. Okay, so let's jump back into the questions. Where are we? Miles says, could Disney consider launching a 20th Century Animation as a production unit similar to Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar Animation Studios? I mean, it would make sense too. It would make sense for them to kind of unify a little bit, kind of make it sort of seem a little bit different. The way they're doing it at the minute is all over the place. I think there's scope for it. I'm hoping the success of Predator will encourage them to be like, I mean, they obviously do things like Ice Age and so on. It would be nice for them to have their own little division. But I suppose they've got that big television division doing all their animation, so that might be how that might work. Matt also says, do you think National Geographic could be used more? Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of scope there for them to use it more. I think leaning in on, it kind of feels like they've moved away from making lots of documentaries. You know, all the like the long-standing ones seem to have all kind of stopped. We're not getting the same number that they used to. You know, all the Dr. Pose and the Life Below Zero and that kind of stuff. It all seems like that's all kind of, those shows have died. Obviously today we got the new Oceans documentary. I do need to check that one out. Right now it feels like National Geographic is more about delivering kind of that FX feel where they are delivering documentaries, but it's more like 1 or 2 a month that are really good, rather than now trying to deliver multiple shows a night all week, like trying to fill up a linear channel. It's like there is definitely an audience for this content. It appeals to different audiences as well. It's funny, I was talking to my nephew today. He's only like 9, and he really likes things like Deadly 60, and he likes those kind of documentaries and really gets in on them. That's why things like Shark Fest and Crocodiles, those kind of things are really popular with younger audiences. But as streaming is going to start going after more and more older audiences, they need to have variety. And I think that's where Nat Geo and ABC News can really kind of zone in and deliver documentaries that are much cheaper to make, so they don't have to be watched by as many people. But I think Nat Geo is a real good asset for Disney to deliver high quality documentaries that the other ones maybe can't do, and I think there is that advantage. It's just we're moving away from like the traditional linear. Nat Geo seems to have moved much easier away from that model, as now they're just focusing on like short versions, doing more films, etc. I know. I think it's good. I think it makes sense to like link it in with their theme parks, the cruise lines. I think there's benefit there. And just as a whole, I think it's just a solid investment and a solid add-on to Disney Plus. You just can't brand it in the same way as Marvel and Star Wars. It doesn't really have that same connection. Bob Petroni says, do you think Disney will put more emphasis on the Disney Channel demographic content with the success of Phileas and Ferb? Yes and no. I think we're very much seeing, as we saw from the Annecy Film Festival, lots of reveals there. I'll do a video on that tomorrow. I think the Disney Channel audience is one that they're actually struggling to get to. I don't think they can get that 8+ audience. I think they're off watching other stuff, and Disney can't seem to click with that. So primarily it seems like they're going after the Disney Junior age bracket, because that seems to be working really well for them. Phileas and Ferb also has a massive advantage of having nostalgia based into it. So you're going to have a lot of fans of the show from that are now much older checking it out that you might not have for another animated series of the same kind. Kenny says the source named Hollywood World has said that Lion King Simba's Pride live action remake could be in the works. I think it's false because Disney never said anything about it. So here's the thing with the internet, especially with random things from different people on like Instagram or Twitter, etc. A lot of them make up stuff because they don't have to prove that it's right, and if they throw out enough stuff there to into the audience, if they're wrong, there's never any consequences, and if they're right, they'll tell you about it for the rest of their lives to try and make their other ones look more better. They're trying for engagement bait. They're trying to get you to like them, to follow, to subscribe, so they keep making more money. This happens a lot. Also, saying that there's going to be a kind of a sequel to Lion King. Well, the last one did make a lot of money. The chances of there being another sequel are quite high. So it's a little bit like you throw out a bit saying, well, do you know what? There might be a sequel to Avengers Secret Wars. Well, yeah, I mean, saying there's going to be another Lion King movie, it's not hard to see that Disney probably are likely to do it. I could sit here right now and say, Disney are going to make a Lilo and Stitch sequel. Well, that's a very easy bet to make, because it's like, if they do it, and who says when? They could do a Lion King sequel in 10 years' time, and then this person would be like, well, I was right. It's just, again, it's engagement bait, and they're just trying to get things moving, get money. Ricardo says, with recent layoffs at Disney, do you think some departure in the future would be deserved? Yes, I saw there was Elio. Thank you very much for your help this week. You sent me over a link to an article on Puck, and it's kind of echoing what I'd been saying for a while. Of I'm expecting Hulu and Disney Plus to eventually merge. And Matt from the Puck has he's put two and two together, and he thinks as well the same thing that I do, that they're consolidating, and a lot of these jobs might be the fact that Hulu is going to be consolidated into Disney Plus, and therefore they can save themselves lots of cuts. They're not getting, they did say in the announcements that there's no big division being cut, but a lot of speculation that it could be in the Hulu side of things, because they're going to merge those two things together. Kenneth asks, with Disney doing a TSN bundle deal in Canada, could we see more bundle deals with niche streamers globally? Well, I don't know if necessarily if TSN is a niche streamer in Canada. I think there's that same thing as well, of each country is individual. Each country has benefits of doing bundles with different providers. And I think they're doing one in Mexico or something like that. It makes sense for Disney to try and bundle up Disney Plus with different internet providers, telephone providers, things like that, because they get paid. They're trying to find big customers. So it's much easier to get a big bank or a big telephone company to pay you for millions of subscribers that might not be interested, and you can reach a bigger audience. It's a win-win-win-win-win all the way around. So we are going to see more bundles. Also, the cable and internet providers are trying their best to try and keep customers, and trying to offer more and more bundles is a way of doing it. Sky here, they try and bundle in Netflix and Paramount, etc. Babak says, Disney has added some music videos to the Phileas and Ferb playlist. Do you think Disney should add more playlists for popular shows, or add music play stream? Way back before Disney Plus even existed, Disney Life was a streaming service here in the UK. I had a load of Disney music in terms of albums. It also had a lot of music videos. And unfortunately, Disney Plus never really leaned in on that. I think having those streams, that would be great to have some music. I'd have it on. You could just have Star Wars music, Marvel music. You can have animated movie, Disney Parks music. You can have all these channels. I have not really understood why Disney hasn't leaned in on using its music a little bit better. Not just necessarily music videos, but just engagement, just to try and keep people within the app. I'm sure there's a lot of us that if you could listen to like an album from a movie or just a random playlist when you're working, you probably would fire up Disney Plus rather than maybe using like YouTube Music or Spotify. I just think it's a great way of utilizing content, using their podcast, put the podcast on there. Babatronic says, do you think Disney's starting to put Disney Channel shows next day on Disney Plus? I would say yes, but they just announced that new one. What is that called? Electric Bloom. Disney Plus is going to have to wait until September when it comes out in July. Again, Disney Channel is just, there's something going on there where they still seem to be clinging to the idea that they've got this linear channel and they need to try and boost numbers up there, because I'm guessing they think if they don't do something that their jobs are gone. And that's what I think the problem is with some of this stuff. I think you've got some of these channel people that are trying desperately to cling on to their jobs because they know that I don't know. I just don't get why some of these shows, they are not just treating them either as equals or as Disney Plus as the priority, especially for Disney Channel. Disney Channel is the one channel of all of the ones that is like the least important. Kids do not watch linear television. They do not tune in at 8 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it is to watch TV. They ain't doing it. Matt says, could we see more classic shows and movies being added onto Disney Plus? I'd like to say yes, but I don't think it's kind of high on their priority list, in all fairness. So there we go. That is all the pre-done questions. So if you've got any live ones, feel free to pop them in. Feel free to pop those questions in. So let's see what we've got. Kayla says, I'd rather have co-CEOs of DeMaro and Walden. They need to learn the lessons of Chapek. I think that's good. I think that's what they do need. Kayla said, it'd be cool to see National Geographic collaborate with the Weather Channel for select documentaries. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I don't tend to see them do, a lot of like big thunderstorms, big hurricanes, typhoons, that kind of thing. Lean in a little bit more on that's what kind of like what Discovery we used to do. Nat Geo don't seem to be quite there yet. Kayla says, as you said last week, the people who are out there intentionally rage bait people. Yeah, I was talking to my brother and my sister-in-law today about all of this, about how bad it gets and so on. And even they've noticed it. Matt says, do you think we'll get some more Marbles Assembles? I'm guessing, do you mean Avengers Assembles? Marbles Assembles? I mean, you can assemble the marbles. You can have a nice game of marbles and, play a bit of marbles. That's good. I'm guessing you mean Avengers Assembles. I think the animated series probably less so, but who knows where they're going to go with animation. I think they seem to be set right now on X-Men and Spider-Man. As far as Avengers movies, damn right there's going to be more of them. Billy says, any early predictions on Elio? Do you think it's going to get overshadowed by Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon? Yes and yes. Elio has got a little bit of an uphill battle. It has to be really, really good. At the minute, I think the ticket sales aren't looking great, but this is a movie that's likely to start low and grow. Look at Elemental. That started really low, and people will go see it over the coming months. Elio will also benefit from likely having promotion before Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, Jurassic Park, etc., which it will get people interested in. Elio, I do think, is going to be struggling to get much higher. I think they are going to struggle. I do think it looks a bit, I don't know. I just, if it 250 if it hits between 250 and 500, that'll be where I'm expecting it. 500 I think would be a really good haul. Pixar might have a bit of a chance. We don't sometimes as well with these kind of movies is we don't know how they're going to do when they get out to that general audience of like families are looking, oh, that looks a good movie. Who knows? There's not a lot of buzz around it. I do see a lot of people going, there's not a lot of buzz on the internet, and like, yeah, because the movie's not out for a couple of weeks, so there's no point in promoting it too much. And also, advertising on the internet works very differently to how it does with press and media. Like having it on bus stops and cars and on TV adverts. If you never watch anything with ads on television, you're not going to see those ads. It's the same thing like radio, etc. Matt says, when ESPN, Hulu, and Disney Plus fully merge, do you think Disney Plus will be the top free streaming service? Well, when they're combined, it will be I think it's going to be Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus will be the free top streaming services, 100%. Caleb says, I can see Disney doing bundle deals with indirect competitors since they're like Netflix and Prime Video as direct competitors. Yeah, I think they're all just trying to get that deal together to try and keep people engaged. I wouldn't be at all surprised if eventually we end up seeing some kind of streaming bundle where they all come together and go like, yeah, for $50 a month, you can have all of these. You can get Disney Plus, Netflix, Amazon Max, and Paramount Plus, all with ads for like $50 a month. And if Netflix starts losing subscribers, that's when they'll be likely to come in. Barbara Trolling says, do you think... Oh, here we go. Do you think Hulu will be removing all the content from Hotstar because they don't own it anymore? I think we're probably... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a licensing deal to keep that content on there. I also have a feeling that going from some of the statements that were made when Gilo Hotstar launched in India, when they rebranded Disney Plus Hotstar to it, there was talk of them going international. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gilo International actually launches in the US and around the world with all that content. And that because the thing that always got me was Why was none of the Hotstar content available on Hulu and Disney Plus? That to me was always a little bit of a red flag of that could be why that stuff's not there. To me, that's my on that one. Matt says, do you think we'll get more Marvel Assembled documentary? Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. Yes, I think Assembled is saying that. Did we get we haven't had an Assembled for Captain America yet, have we? We haven't had one for Daredevil. I am wondering now. I'm wondering if that's gone. I'm wondering if they've just pulled the plug on that, because they didn't do one for Daredevil. They haven't done one for Captain America. They might want to hold on a couple of weeks for it. But when was the last one we got? I'm intrigued now. You've caught my attention. Let's see. Assembled. We had Echo, X-Men. Nice. We haven't had one for Spider-Man. We haven't had one for. Did we have one for Agatha? I don't think we've had one for Agatha, have we? No, we've not had one for Agatha. So I think that show is dead. No, I'm guessing that Assembled, because we've not had one now for, what was the last? So did we have one for Deadpool? We've had one for Deadpool and Wolverine, but we've not had one for. Yeah, I think that show's dead because we've not had one for a while. The fact that we've not got one for Agatha, Daredevil, Spider-Man, and Captain America says to me, oh, the Agatha All Along one was on YouTube. Yeah, that oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, see, that to me again was like, why was that drop? It's like, yeah. And the fact that they didn't do one for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and Daredevil and Captain America, maybe Agatha was all along. So yeah, so Agatha was the last one they did. Kelly also said if they did scrap Assembled, it's because Feige decided not to give the fans how the sausage is made. There is that. I mean, behind the scenes documentary stuff is always nice as bonus filler to do for DVD sales and etc. But I do think if they want to kind of reduce the amount of content they're making, getting rid of all that basically fluff like Legends and Assembled is a good way of kind of reducing the amount of Marvel content you're making. If they're trying to make less, and also, those shows cost money to make. They're going to have editors, sound people. They're going to be having people filming them while they're doing it. Who knows? But like we said, if they haven't had one in Agatha, yeah, I would have expected one for Captain America. Normally would have been June. So yeah, I think it's gone. I think that's gone. Maybe it's scrapped because they're directing all their funds to the Avengers film. Yeah, I think more of it is just down to they know that they have overcooked Marvel and they need to reduce the amount of stuff they're making, and they're cutting costs. And Assembled and stuff, it's all just fluff pieces. I mean, it always felt to me a little bit like just stuff that you would get on YouTube or a bonus video. I thought they were okay, but they weren't amazing. And the one Tinkerer said the one for Agatha only came out months later. Yeah, I mean, they were much later. They used to drop them like much closer to it. But Daredevil's been dropped now for 2 months, so that's quite a lot. Maybe. I mean, I think if we do get a Daredevil one or a Captain America one, that might indicate that they might be continuing. But I don't know. I think the fact that Agatha went straight to YouTube rather than Disney Plus and hasn't been added on there yet, I think it's dead. Kelly also says I can only see the I can see an ABC News special for anniversary in 2028. Yeah. I mean, that would make sense for them to do that. I mean, maybe they kind of link it more in with 2020s. That might be a way of them doing it. Matt says, I wish there was a way to find things on Disney Plus. What are your thoughts? Well, we got the search bar. I mean, I think that's kind of really one way of doing it. I mean, I do think having a better home screen would be nicer, more AI involved with that, of an algorithm that kind of works out what you want to watch. That would be good. More collections. More. I think there's good ways of doing it, but the search to me is always your go-to for me. Right, so if you've got any more questions, feel free to pop them in, because we've just reached the end of them. Kind of rattled through them today a bit quicker. In terms of a poll, I did do... Did I do a poll? I thought I did a poll. Let's see what we got. No, that's not that. Top chat, live chat. Let's see what we got there. I thought we had a poll on here today. Maybe not. I thought there was. Bit weird. I thought I did a poll on this one, but there we go. Miles says, resuming my question from the potential guest stars for King of the Hill, could this extend to actors who previously starred in films made by Searchlight? I think anybody, anyone that is kind of a Disney-friendly actor is much higher up on the to-do list, because it's easier. They've got flow with them. They've maybe got contracts in place. It's, if you've got exclusive contracts, or they are nearby in the studio doing something else, it's much easier. Say they are in doing voiceover work for the latest Marvel movie, and they've got a voiceover for King of the Hill, then go, oh yeah, you can pop over there this afternoon and film that. That's much easier for them to do. So I definitely think it would make sense for them to utilize that one. Kay says, I do believe Disney would have benefit from having in-house subtitles instead of using device captions. Yeah, that would probably make a lot of sense. I mean, I imagine they're probably going to end up using a lot of AI systems in place soon to replace a lot of that, so on. Kay says, speaking of King of the Hill, it's heartbreaking how the death of the actor who played Redcorn happened. Yeah, that sounds awful. That sounds really bad of what's happened there. Barbatronic says, do you see Disney having AI playlists? I don't know if it's AI playlists, but I mean, it would make sense maybe for some like streams to be maybe like auto-generated or random, or add, rather than just having them on a constant repeat. I mean, something like a Grey's Anatomy channel, they can just play them in order. By the time it gets to the end and goes back to the beginning again, that would be years probably. But I think having a little bit of randomness is probably a good thing. Okay, so I remember Haley Joe Osborne mentioned that he recorded his lines for Kingdom Hearts 3 in South Africa since he was filming a movie there. Yeah, I mean, it would make sense as well with the technology side of things. Miles says, starting from tomorrow, the marketing campaign for Elio will start to ramp up on print, social media, and television. 100%. And this is where I think a lot of people seem to misunderstand how marketing works. Especially things aimed at kids, etc., and general audiences, there is no point in advertising things too early. It's like spending money for advertising on television or in radio or on print or anything. For Elio, when you're trying to promote Lilo and Stitch, you spend your money there. You don't spend money on something that's coming up later. You just focus on what's out right now, because people have got short attention spans, and that's the thing. You want to put it out there. It's like probably a bit like the Nintendo Switch. The marketing will all kick in like this week when the stuff's out there to buy. The pre-orders and all the rest of it aren't stuff that they do in advance, because there's no point. Same thing with movies. And yeah, I also feel as well, there's a lot of people online. If you are a person that's constantly online, that maybe has, ad-free versions of YouTube or other methods of like not seeing ads, and then saying, I don't see any ads. I'm like, well, yeah, you're not going to. So that's how that kind of works. I always go by the idea of, when I see ads on bus stops, buses, television, radio, not necessarily newspaper, because I don't buy newspapers, but that's the kind of place where they're reaching a bigger audience. I do think Elio is probably being run ads in front of cinemas, and they'll be targeting kids channels, etc. Kendall said, with Kingdom Hearts 2, Osmond recorded his lines entirely in Broadway. I think it just makes sense. If you've got a good setup, and I think obviously with the pandemic and stuff, a lot of people were able to do stuff. Kay says, I'm impressed to see how fantastic full pre-sales were since it caused ticket system servers to crash. Yeah, I mean, there was probably a boost of people trying to get in there. I think, again, how long that buzz is for, but how long that works. It's always a bit funny. I never really worry too much about pre-orders for my local cinema. I've never found a daytime showing has ever really been a problem. I'm going to be going first thing when it comes out. Literally, yeah, that's just how I'll do it. Okay, so if you've got any more last-minute questions, feel free to pop them in. We've reached the end of the line. So again, I'll be back next week with another live Q&A. Throughout the week, there'll be little videos going up. So if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. If you are a Patreon or a YouTube channel member, huge thank you for that. Miles says, Elio was recently classified PG for mild threats, scary scenes, and violence by the British Board Film. What are your opinions on this? Makes sense. I mean, I think, they can't really do a U anymore. I think also the board of certificates are much more harsh than they used to be. They probably most U movies. Create a poll. What not sure yet of anything you're curious about in regards to opinion. Let's see, shall we? I don't know why that poll didn't work before. Let's see, what questions shall we do? Create a poll. I've gone completely blank now. Okay, yeah, here we go. How much do you think Elio will make? Billion. 750, 500 plus, or okay, let's see what we got on that one. Oh, got a super chat here from Mr. Penguin. Thank you so much for your super chat. So the Space Mountain movie is kind of dead. I heard they were making a movie of it, but I've not heard anything about that for a few years. I haven't heard anything for a while. A lot of these projects, especially during the pandemic, a lot of them got kind of put on hold or pushed back. Generally, if we don't hear anything for a while, that's usually either the project's probably not happening or it's not. I do think Space Mountain is kind of difficult for them to do because there's not really a story, because each of the ones around the world are very different. Like Paris is very different to Magic Kingdom, and the one in Hong Kong is Star Wars. I don't know. I mean, it would be a cool thing. I always remember with Tomorrowland of kind of hoping it was going to be much more connected to the movies, and it was very, very, very light. A few little Easter eggs, and that was about it. But I do think Space Mountain, on one hand, it's like, does that work, or are they just trying to shoehorn a story in? It's a very tricky one. I don't know. But I haven't heard anything about that one for a while. I would guess that one's probably likely going to be not happening. But again, thank you very much, super chat, Mr. Penguin. That's pretty cool. That's great. Matt says, do you think there's any pleasure to have a weather playlist? I mean, you could have you could maybe have news, but the weather's a bit difficult because obviously you've got to cover the whole world, and the weather channel's kind of for that, really. Miles says, with Ella McKay with the Gracie film logo appear after the 20th century logo, much rather like at the end. I'd guess so. Elias says, if Disney Experiences is done with Rogers the Musical, I wish they'd release it onto Disney Plus. Yeah, I mean, that would be good if they did that. They could, if they filmed it and they're not doing it at Disney California Adventures anymore, it would make sense for them to do that one. Just remember, we got the the community leaderboard for today. So at the top place was Miles. Second place was Matt. The official trolling number 3. Aaliyah's at number 4. Basil's number 5. Kelly's number 6. And the one and only Tinkerbell is number 7. I think that's based on how much interaction you have, I think. Miles says, what's your take on the closure of Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sully to the rescue at Disney California Adventure? I know when I went on the attraction a couple of years ago when I was out there for D23, it's a very basic ride. It's very dated. I do think it's a shame that it is closing, but at the same time, I think it's going to be completely overshadowed with what's happening over at Magic Kingdom, over at the Hollywood Studios in Florida. So it makes sense to lean in on Avengers stuff that they can't do really there. And again, the thing is with Disneyland, they have very limited amount of space. And I suppose it depends on how the footfall is. Are people watching it? It was very quiet. I only jumped straight on it because I had I had the Fast Pass Plus system for the day, so I was able just to jump on and get through it quickly. But yeah, I think it's a shame, but at the same time, I think they need to kind of accept the fact that it's not that good. Aaliyah says, any buzz about the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror movie? The Space Mountain question remind me of that. Haven't heard anything on that one. I think, wasn't it Scarlett Johansson was connected to it? I don't know. I haven't heard anything on that one. I'd be surprised if they did do it, unless they would. I think there was that kind of stage where they were just looking to see if they can turn any ride into a movie to help. I think they'd maybe realize that might not necessarily always work. Matt says, do you think Disney could add the older seasons of Doctor Who? No. I think Iger's going to be like going, yeah, we don't want that. Thank you very much. Tell you how you can take whatever that is away from me because I can't make any money from it. Again, Doctor Who was a Chapek era thing, and they announced it like a month after, or a month or two before Iger returned. So I think that show is, as far as Disney's concerned, it will probably just be like, yeah, get rid of that. That didn't work for us. And I don't think it's going to be going anywhere. It's a very different situation to any other show around the world. Doctor Who is very different, works very differently. I don't think it's gone, but I think Disney is, after this next, the Land and the Seas thing, I think it'll be gone. Miles says, if Dana Walden was to become the CEO of Disney, could John Lacraft, the head of FX, assume his position of co-chairman of Disney Entertainment? Maybe. I mean, he's definitely highly thought of. Leah says the animatronics for Monsters, Inc. at DC would probably move to Florida for a new thrill ride. I don't know. I mean, they must be quite dated. I would imagine they'd want like new modern technology rather, because they were a bit like very solid and just the eyeballs. Like it was quite old. It used to be Superstar Limo, a ride so bad that it was closed for less than a year. Oh, was it? That would make sense. It was like I said, it wasn't a great one. I just remember doing it because I'd never seen that one before. Right, let's just have a quick look at the poll. So 44% of you think 500 plus million, and 22% either side of that one. The 11% of you, 16% of you think it's going to hit $1 billion. I think, yeah. If it's a fast ride, if you zip past them, the great detail might not be required. Yeah, there's definitely that. Like, what was that? Aaliyah says, is a fast ride? Oh, yeah. Do you think there'll be more live streaming stuff like Dancing with the Stars? Not probably drama stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if you get more like live events that they've got the rights to, like they're doing with Hulu. But live sports, live content is going to become a bigger thing, but I don't know if it's going to be like something like Dancing with the Stars. I think there's going to be more likely going to be events where they can get people to pay to go see it. Bobby Tronic says, do you think Disney will rename Star to Hulu? Yeah, I am 100%. If I was a betting man, I'd be betting on the Star Hub being rebranded to Disney Plus, also being rebranded to Hulu around the world. I definitely think that's going to happen. Right. On that note, guys, thank you very much to everyone for joining in. A big thank you to Mr. Penguin and Miles for your super chats. A big thank you to Bubba Trolling for being a member for 47 months. You are amazing. Thank you. Also, big thank you to other patrons and YouTube channel members, Aaliyah, Matt, Miles. We've also got in here Kalids. Let's see if I miss anyone. Bubba Trolling. The only one, Tinkerbell. Just don't want to miss anybody here. Billy C, thank you again. So good, thank you very much. I shall be back this time next week with another Q&A. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Tally ho, laters. Toodaloo.